You welcome to World Magazine News. Once upon a time, have you seen the bird Hadza or HADZABE? Those are the African tribes. HADZABE in Kiswahili are protected by Handagara, the Tanzanian indigenous and ethnic group, primarily based in Braya, an administrative ward within the Karatu district in South Arusha West. They live around the Lake Eyasi basin in the central Lake River and the neighboring Serengeti Plateau. As descendant of Tanzania, Abargadi Puri Bantu expansion. Hatagara, the population, they have popularly occupied their current territory for thousands of years with little modification to their basic way of life until the last century. They have known as close genetic relationship, and their languages is considered as isolated. Since the first European contact in the late 19th century, government and missionaries have made the attempt to settle the Hadza by introducing farming and recreationally. Their efforts has largely failed and made Hadza still purpose of life similar to their ancestors. Since the 18th century, the Hadza have come into similar to their ancestors, increasing contact with pastoralists, peoples entering Hadza land, sometimes declining in population. Tourism and safari hunting have also affected with them in recent years. Hadza people traditionally live in bands or camps or around 20 or 30 people, and their social structures are ingredient. A non-heritage culture traditional, they primarily forget of food, eating mostly honey, tubers, fruits, and special in their dry season. As how they like meat. In 2015, they lived between 1,200 and 1,300 Hadza people living in Tanzania. On around a third, the remaining Hadza still survive exclusively by traditional farming. Once classified among the Khoisan languages, primarily because it has quirks, the Hadza languages, Hadzane, is now thought to be isolated, unrelated to any other languages. Hadzane is entirely oral languages. UNESCO states the languages invulnerable because most children learn it by the use of discarded to start certain areas of life, such as their homes, still is not protected to be danger of extinction. Hadzane frequency is also considered to the most important factors and distinguishes whether someone is in Hadza. In more recent years, many of Hadza have learned Swahili, their nation languages of Tanzania, and their second languages. Let's state and fly about the history of those one. Hadza, in oral tradition, their telling of Hadza's oral history, or Hadza's oral history, divided into their four parts: imposed and inhabited by different cultures. According to his traditional in the beginning of time, the world was inhabited by hairy giants called the Ankakinebe. First ones means the word Inkakinebe or Jekhenebe, ancient ones. The Ankakinebe did not possess tools or fire. They hunted game by running to down until they died. They ate the meat raw. They did not break the houses by sleeping under trees. And the Hadza do not today in the dry season. In other version of the story, they did not that the Akakinebe did not know how to use fire. In the second epoch, the Akakinebe were succeeded by the Inasakinebe, who were eco-genetic but without hair. Fire could be made and used to cook meat, but animals had grown more many of humans, and had to be chased, hunted by dogs. The Akakinebe were the first people to use medicines and charms to protect themselves from enemies and in shared open light. They live in caves. The third epoch inhabited by the people Hakwanebe, who were smaller than the processed. They invented the barrels and the laws, cooked with containers, and mastered the use of fire. They also bred hearts like those of HADZABE today. The people of Hakunebe were the first of the HADZABE ancestors to have contact with non-forgetting people with who they traded in iron and make knives and arrowheads. They also invented to gathering game in Kokon. The fourth part continues today and is inhabited by the HADZABE. When discussing Menhakomebe epoch, people often mean specific names and prices can see approximately how many generated ago event occurred. The Hadza not closely related any other people. The Hadza languages was once classified with Khoisan languages because it had Greek consonants. However, there is no other evidence that have been related to the genetically. The Hadza do not appear to the closely related to the Khoisan speakers. Even the Sadware, who around 140 kilometers and 39 miles away, diverged to the Hadza more of than 1,500 years ago. Genetic fair testing of suggestion significant admixture had occurred between the Hadza and the Bantu. Between admixture with the Natic and the Coastal speaking population have been occurred in the 3,000 years. Today, a few Hadza women married to the neighboring groups, such as Bantu, Isanzu, and the Neotic Datuger. But those marriages often fail, and the women and their children tied to HADZABE. In previous decades, life and culture of Hadza women by autisters seems to have been common during feminine in 1918 to 1920. Some Hadza men were reported to take Isanzu wives. The Hadza's ancestors have probably lived in their current territory for 10,000 years. Hadza land is 50 kilometers and 31 miles from Oliver, Georgia. An area sometimes called the Kadi and Marking because the number of humanity falls around there and 4 kilometers, 25 miles from the prehistoric site of Liwori. Archaeological evidence suggests that the areas have been constantly occupied by the Hadza guerrillas, but the Hadza science lies the beginning of the last Stone Age. 15 years ago, although the Hadza do not make lake art today, they consider several log to sites within their territories, probably the last 2,000 years and old, to have been created their ancestors, and the old stories does not suggest they most Hadza land from Israel. The Hadza or HADZABE population is dominated by Hadza group B2M11.(y)DNA2. There are also urine path groups, hypergroups E-V38 brackets YDNA and hypo E-M215 brackets Y-DNA. Until about 500 BC, Tanzania was exclusive occupied by hunter-gatherers akin to the Hadza, the first agricultural to enter the region, and the Karstic, speaking to cattle herders from the Horn of Africa around 500 CE. The Bantu expansion reached Tanzania, beginning population to farmers with the Taurus in the weapons. They are last major ethnic groups to the enter to the region. Nordic Protestants who migrated to southern Sudan in 19th century. East of this expansion of family and herding people replaced the era population of herding with the iron of demographic and technology disasters and vulnerable to be the loss of environment resources, foreclosing areas and habitat to game, to farmland and postures groups such as Hadza and Southern where the demand of Genesis had a guard population that we been once had more whispered, and they are now continued the pressure from the expansion of agriculture into the trade lands. Farmers in the herders appeared to define it in the Hadzaland relatively recently. It sounds robust. Farming people began living south of Hadzaland around 1830. Their pastoralists Ilak and Daturgar were both forced to migrate into the areas of expansion to the Maasai. The former is 19th century and the later in 1910s. The Hadza also elected to contact the Maasai with the Sukuma west to lack heirs. The uprise caused by Maasai expansion in the 19th century caused a decline in the Hadza population. The Hadza population tagged together with many days of people who have been hostile. Pastoralists often killed the Hadza and spread for them and theft all livestock. Since the Hadza did not have the denotation of areas owing to of already herd with them for the big game. The general attitude of neighboring agro-pastoralists toward to Curve and some Hadza was project. They viewed themselves and backing Leo languages and though game map of disposable to neighboring tribes and the further into forest of poverty of because they communicated with the community. Many of these structures were transmitted into early colonial freestyle to the region. Paul, who write about the Hadza. The Isanzu will host off the Hadza at times. Isanzu people have been captured with as part of slave trade until it was late as 1977 or when it was headed by the German colonial government. That interaction went more peaceful with the two people, sometimes intermarrying and residing together throughout as late 1912. The Hadza were reported and being leaded forward. Within the more Isanzu still told takes. Despite Isanzu of favorable and all times heroic until like Ilaku and the Queto leading Morsai. Moreover, man goods and customs comes from them, and the Hadza maps mission and the practice and may be novelted in praise of the Isanzu in the mythology. The Sukuma and the Hadza had more America's decision to Sukuma drove with the herd and caravans with to have HADZABE lands and exchanged old metal tools, which the HADZABE made into overhead for the light to hunt elephants in the heartland. In the late 19th century, European powers claimed that African continent is colonies and period known as Scramble for Africa. The HADZABE would become a part of German East Africa, though there is no evidence in European have ever visited HADZABE before the colonial was proclaimed. The earliest mention of the HADZABE in Leiden account is German explorer Oscar Baumann, Deutsche Maisland Zoo nuclear in 1918. The HADZABE hidden from Baumann and other early explorers they had described based on second-hand accounts. The first European to remain and 3-point meeting the HADZABE Otto Damport and Andy Koppes. The last lived with them with 8 weakness in 1911. German Tanganyika came under British control at the end of First World War in 1917. And soon after, British colonial officer F.G. Bagashiro wrote about the HADZABE. The account des European visitors pointed to HADZABE to begin the 20th century as living the same was as the way today. Early on, Augustine notated to distinguish about between what considered to pure HADZABE, whose subsistting plural by hunting and gathering, and those that lived with the Isanzu and practiced some cultivation. The forgiving HADZABE forget to and had it using many of some techniques day to day. Game was more painful in early 20th century because some farmers had not yet begun directly crossing their lands. Some early reports describe the HADZABE as having chiefs and big men, but those reports were probably mistaken. More reliable account portray the early 20th century HADZABE as a creation, and they all are day to day. They also lived in similar sized camps, used the same tools, but houses in the same style, and had similar religious ballets. The British colonial government tried to make the HADZABE settle down and adopt farming. In 1927, the first of such government efforts, the British tried again in 1939. The independent Tanzania government tried in 1965 and 1999. In the various foreign missionaries groups have been tried to same since 1960s. There's numerous attempts, some forced and legally first, generally missionary groups. The HADZABE willingly settled how to provide the full stocks. They live in schedule their traditional hunter gathered with the provision loans out of. A few adapted from the sunshine or to be the disease also problems. Of the 4 villages bred HADZABE since 1965, 2, Yenichin and Muguri, are now inhabited to Isanzu, Inakru, and Doatoga, another Mango and Mono. Established in 1988, is a product occupied by HADZABE groups to stay there a few months at a time, either farming and divulgating using the food given to them by missionaries and the 4 villages in Dagama, also known as Mwembe. Some Hadza child didn't attend school. By the account of just a third of students, the numerous attempt to convert the Hadza to Christianity have to be largely unsuccessful. Tanzanian farmers began to move into the Maragala and the Grow Union in 1948, but they came to small numbers until the 1968. The first German plantation of Hadland was established in 1928 and late. Those three European families settled in areas since 1960. The Hadza have been fostered regular to anthropologic, linguistic, journalistic, and researches. In recent years, the Hadza territory have been increasing in crossing neighboring peoples. The Western Hadza land are now private hunting reserve, and the Hadza are officially restricted to reservation within a reserve and prohibited to hunting free. The ear of an incorrect due to the intestine fry is now settled by the Atoga heroes who are cleaning the Hadza lands and either side to valley posture their girds and castles. The Atoga had to game and land, chilling, destroys berries, tribes, and honey that Hadza will relay watering holes in the Toga Kiro and cause the shadow watering holes that Hadza on to dry up. Most Hadza are no longer able to sustain themselves in parts without supplementary food such as. After preparing the communities of Hadza on PBS and BBC in 2001, though the Mongolo and the Hadzabe has become tourist attraction. Although the myth seems to help the Hadzabe, part of the money of tourism is allocated to government officials. Tourism companies instead of Hadzabe, many given directly to Hadzabe, also contribute to our -1. The D from a core person have been still become severe problem, a further contributing to the loss of acknowledged culture. In 2007, the local government controlling the Hadza land adjusted to the ferry listed into 6,500 square kilometers, 2,500 square kilometers to Ofamai of land to the Nyayoloya family and United as the State of Arab Emirates. For users' personal safari program, both the Hadza, the Atoga were excited with the Hadza resistance impressive. However, after protesting from the Hadza and negotiate cover with international press with the deals restarted. The Hadza were part of studies concerning involuntary entomology and Buenos Aires Primary Consulate Duke University Professor Yumiri Presa and Proza's research to team of the further work with the Tanzanian National Limit in the Medical Research Commons. In the Commercial Sciences Technology to Hadzabe will studied and instrument research to recovery the exercises of products without the Hadza and comparable correcting expenditure to the scale-centered individuals with nada despite being more physically active. You welcome to World Max News. We have talked about Hadza tribes, Africans, one. We weave a difference and how they are making the how behaviors have been cultures spread the Africans and the ones of finance harvesting them. You're most welcome to World Max News. Do support, do welcome. You don't forget to make subscribe in order to get more notification about man and about news we give you for now. Let's meet us soon talk about to the Bantu expansion. Thanks for staying tuned on our channel World Max News. More love. love to enjoy with this channel. We meet again for expansion of Bantu. This is Africa we talked about. If you have some opinion and something we can talk about it, you can let us in the comment. We will see your comment and then we talk about it. Thank you. Thanks for leaving us on World Max News.